Hello, probably clicked on this video because you feel like life has been losing colour. Things don't feel the same as they used to. And you're someone who cares about life more than just existing. And so I want to talk a little bit about that vibrant kind of feeling that we're slowly losing over time. And the weird sense that everyone kind of relates to about the world becoming more dull. Not just visually, but like emotionally too. And it's not a doom and gloom video where, I just complain about society for however long this video is going to be, but I kind of want to try to figure out why it's happening from a random dude on the internet's perspective, and more importantly, how to bring it back. Because the thing is, we all deserve a colourful life, a vibrant one, one where you actually wake up and you're excited about the day ahead. Now, I can't remember the last time that's ever really happened. Never really hear anyone that says, "Oh man, you know what? I'm so excited for tomorrow." That's a problem. And if you're new here, because I think like 95% of my viewers are not subscribed, we make a bunch of these videos on the channel if you want to check it out, to kind of help people. So if you like it, stay. If not, enjoy your journey on the rest of YouTube. Anyway, let's get started. So I think it's really important to try and understand where everything stems from, which is your childhood. Most likely, in all cases, because I know some people have had some horrible childhoods, for those people, I apologize, and you can recover from it. But this is for the people who, they might have had some really nice memories when everything felt more exciting and vibrant and kind of bigger than their life does now. Like, because you're experiencing things for the first time. Like, think about it, right? Imagine your first time you went to the cinema, or the first time you ever got to experience snow, if you've ever had snow, or even like the first time trying the absolute delectable food called pizza. Maybe it's some school experiences. These things were amazing. Like, you were so in the present of it, like time flew because it was that fun. It was literally mind-blowing. But then now, like, you might see snow, or you might pizza, and it's just, nothing crazy. It's just whatever. And even sometimes you might even think of a few negative things because daily life is just surrounded by that. You might say, "Oh man, this pizza isn't good," or "Oh gosh, snow." And what happened? Because the world didn't change. We did. And I get it. The first time for everything is always the best time. Like for movies, they always say the first movie is the best movie because it's you never experienced it before. You don't know who the characters are. You don't know what the story is about. And like your brain is just like releasing floods of dopamine that makes your brain really say, "Look, pay attention to this. It's important." You really kind of focus and you're really present in that moment. And obviously over time you kind of build this habit of seeing the same kind of things, and life becomes mundane, and maybe you've eaten more pizzas than you can count, and then your brain kind of stops releasing these feel-good emotions because you're used to it now. It's not as special anymore because it's normal. Your brain associates it with normality. Like, oh my gosh. For example, it's a really good example by the way, but if you buy new shoes for the first time when you were younger, it's an amazing feeling. But then as you continue to wear them, after about a few months, you're like, just the same shoes, right? I think it's the same thing as like when we get older. The way that our brains process everything around us is just the same. Like, it's the same cycle. You wake up, maybe you go work, or it's pretty mundane cycles of existence. And over time, our brains kind of start to filter some of these experiences that we have like more and more, because we become very much goal orientated instead of experience orientated. Whereas when you're a kid, you're not thinking about no damn goals, you're thinking about the experience at hand. Like, if you can vividly remember this, what's that one core memory that makes you really happy? And if it's really vivid, you could probably like imagine it so well. Like, what color, like if you're outside, right? Maybe you had a really good experience of being at a park. You're gonna remember what color the leaves were on the trees. You're gonna remember what the birds sounded like and the feeling of the wind, and there's all this amazing freshness to the memory itself. This is why as a kid growing up, you notice things a lot of times that adults don't, because you're in such a high-end perception of life. You're just thinking about like what's happening right now. And the adults around you may not notice it because they're going to be thinking about, oh man, I got work to deal with. I got this email I got to send, or, oh, what are we going to be doing tomorrow? Or all this, I don't want to say irrelevant details, but it's like, it really takes you away from really enjoying the experience of life sometimes. Because you don't need to worry about an email when you're not even at work, For example, like, you can take a thing or two from just the way that children think. Oftentimes, a lot of adults teach children stuff, but they can teach us too. Because adults, they don't be seeing the full picture sometimes. They only focus on what seems useful at the time. Again, back to the filter thing. We keep on filtering things out, which isn't a fault. It's just the way that things are. Not even with just noticing things, but even the way that you feel about a lot of these things that you notice. Like, they're happy when they see something cool. They jump up and down. They express themselves, right? They cry. When they're excited, you can tell like can't experience joy on that level. And then it's like the adults on the other side of the coin, or anyone who's growing up, you have to kind of over time tone it down. Don't laugh too loud. That person might judge you. Don't get too excited. That person might judge you. Don't show too much emotion because it's seen as unprofessional or childish or not adult-like. That sucks. To be honest, even seeing a grown adult really express emotions like that, it would seem weird. And it's really messed up. Because you're training yourselves out of experiencing joy fully. We're not taught to celebrate. We're not taught to deal with our emotions. We're not taught to really have a passion for how vibrant we perceive the world to be. And we suppress a lot of our emotions from this. Therefore, dulling our experience of life. We've kind of conditioned ourselves and gaslit ourselves to just be dull. And I'm not saying, act like a kid all the time by doing a lot of funky stuff, but here and there you should experience joy. Whether it makes you cry or laugh or whatever it may be. That's okay. And that's the great thing about being an adult, right? Because from what I've said so far, it might seem like, oh man, we've got no hope. There is hope. There's good news, because nothing can be permanent like this. It may be hard to come out of, but it's still possible to change. It just takes a few thought forms within your brain, and you can start seeing the world full of wonder. And then you can learn how to live again. To kind of rediscover yourself, your childlike self, inner child. When I say like socially conditioning ourselves as well, I've noticed a few things upon going about in the world, right? A lot of things look the same now. Like, everyone is trying to be minimal. Everyone is trying to be black and white. There's no color anymore. There's no color in clothing now. There's no color in houses anymore. Everything is just black and white, simple, no character, kind of robotic in a sense. Like, compared to like the 90s and 80s, which I'm not even that old, but like even logos, they were colorful. They had personality. Even the Apple logo, when it first started, it was a rainbow apple. Now it's just black and white. And don't get me wrong, it looks clean, it looks modern. But again, modern. It's just monotone. Like, even for, say for example, McDonald's back in the days, they used to have a lot more color. Now they look like fancy coffee shops with just grey and white color schemes. Not even just with them, just generally like a lot of different places. A lot of apps and websites look the same now. Pretty basic stuff. Everyone is kind of going for the same visual style. And then like over time, what's going to end up happening? Expectations are going to be much lower. Architectures are going to be completely different. It's really bland. Nothing wrong with minimalism by any means, but when it's everywhere, it's just gonna look boring. And to be honest, I guess maybe it's happening because a lot of these companies are starting to kind of copy each other, right? Because sometimes bright colors and distinctive designs might put people off, but grey and white, black and white, nobody really hates that, right? Because it's just simple. You can't complain about it. You can't fault it. And to be honest, at the same time, maybe it also equates to kind of sophistication. You know, that modern look and that modern feel to things. It just seems cool, if you will. And I guess the representation of colours are going to be seen as quite cheap or childish. Again, blocking that inner child in you. Like even if you look at like kids' toys and products versus like I don't know stuff for adults, not in a weird way by the way, but typically, you know, toys and things like that, they're fun colors, and adults just get minimalism, modernity, if you will. All of these neutral tones, surely they gotta have some kind of effect on our brains, man, in some kind of way. I think it kind of takes us away from nature a little bit. Because a lot of us, we spend a lot of times in offices and houses and stuff like that. Over time, if everything around us is going to be in this kind of way, we're kind of going a slight bit away from nature. Because nature is just known for being colorful, right? Like you got all kinds of funky plants. You've got all kinds of just random colors, like the sky is blue. I think people really miss out on how the sky is blue. Like that's a pretty cool thing to have. Like grass is green and different flowers have different textures and colors and shapes and sizes. It's a kind of like a really creative landscape. And I feel like when we're kind of in more environments that kind of support that in a way, brains are kind of stimulated in a sense. It feels more impactful, it feels more colorful, vivid. Whereas like when we're in these like monotonous or like visually bland environments, it just feels like understimulated. There's no visual nutrition that's coming about. Like, look for example, right? Tell me a good sunset never get old. So why can't we bring vivid colors to life again? And because our perception is kind of changing over time, everything is going to seem duller in another kind of way because our actual environment is going to be visually duller too. And it's kind of like a double whammy in terms of color loss because it doesn't really, like, I don't want to focus too much on just how things look, but it's also kind of carries over to the way that we're kind of able to express ourselves and kind of exist in the world, right? And it's crazy because typically there's a very like kind of crabs in a bucket metaphor or mentality where, if you haven't heard of that, it's pretty much where put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, and if one tries to climb out and seek freedom, the others are going to pull it back and pull it down. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of human society works like that too. When someone stands out or expresses themselves really well or has any kind of genuine enthusiasm, social force is going to pull them back to conformity because other people aren't like that. And again, as you grow up, maybe you'll notice the same. We're kind of suppressing who we are and what our dreams are going to be because nobody wants to take the risk because risk is seen as danger, and then we kind of just learn all these unwritten rules. Like, it's not great. And now I feel like a lot of people are trying to be too nonchalant as well, which I actually might make a video on too. But being nonchalant, everyone is trying to go towards that kind of idea of life because it's seen as cool and, oh, look at me, I don't show emotions and stuff like that. But it's you have to be a bit smart with your emotions. You can't just say to yourself, oh, I'm gonna cry everywhere or whatever it is. But at the same time, you can't just completely ignore it. It should be cool to be enthusiastic. It should be cool to express strong emotions if you feel about it. And it should be cool to pursue unrealistic dreams. And sometimes, like I said before, it's not at anyone's fault that it's like this, right? People want to protect us from rejection or failure, whether that be your parents or media, or maybe not media, but like teachers and friends and stuff like that. It's usually given with good intentions. But people don't seem to realize that the result of this is just that most of us are going to be toning ourselves down. We're going to be blending in and, again, being less vibrant. We're going to conform. And the thing about conforming is that we're teaching each other to be more bland. As a result, over time, you're not going to enjoy life anymore because you're just doing what everyone else is doing rather than what you truly want to do. And when that happens, all kinds of probably mental stuff kind of kicks in. Maybe you start to become depressed or anxious because life isn't what you really want to live as. Again, as I said in the beginning of the video, you deserve to live a life that you truly want. As long as it's a healthy life, as long as it's a life where you get to maximize your own potential, do what you want to do. Maybe it is slightly extreme to go to that depth from just a video talking about color, but I think it kind of plays its part in the whole idea of people are becoming more bland. What would you rather have? More joy or less joy? Would you rather be authentic? Would you rather be in the same fake crowd or fake friends or just a fake reality that you've just kind of delved yourself into? Let me tell you another thing, yeah? because I feel like in terms of that specifically, a lot of times in school, for example, someone who kind of doesn't fit the typical ideal student is going to be labeled as having a disorder or being disruptive. But that's crazy, because like you're going to pretty much nerf yourself as a result of that because you think something's wrong with you. And if that's in school, imagine in adulthood. Like you're just not going to ever be able to maximize your potential with the abilities that you have. So if you are someone who's, got this quote unquote disorder, trust me, you can be destined for greatness if you take advantage of it. It can be a lonely path. It's definitely a path that could become really authentic and change the world. Kind of breaking free from that conformity and proving to society that you don't have to limit me like that. So you're not dull. You've probably just been conditioned that way. And again, conditioning can be unlearnt too. Before I start talking about some tips on, bringing back color into your life, I want to give another little example in terms of our digital world, because I've covered enough on the physical world, right? But the digital world is becoming more stimulating than ever. And a lot of it is fake, because when you go on whatever platform you're scrolling on, there's a bunch of incredible experiences, novelty and colors. Like you might see a bunch of people going traveling and someone driving a nice fast car or some kind of luxury experience. The real world, when you come back into it after seeing that, is going to appear less colorful. And I feel like sometimes we can get caught between these two realities because attention's kind of fractured in a sense, because you're never really truly present in either world. And it's a completely different experience because you're kind of simulating that experience on your phone, and when you come back into reality, it hits you, and vice versa. I feel like it's gotten to the point now where, like, even if you go to like a concert or if you go to a landmark, a lot of people are focused on their phones rather than the actual experience itself, the actual joy and fun that is existing around you, because you're just trained to see the simulated world of content to be better than your actual life. And I'm pretty sure I don't have to explain why that's pretty damage. That does a lot of damage to you. I guess pretty much, it's an attention economy and it sells. So again, these platforms are gonna keep on rising like that. I urge you to start experiencing life a little bit more, as much as you can. FYI, digital media isn't inherently bad because it's connected us in many ways. Like even now, I'm able to talk to you through this video any point in time. That's really cool. It's given me a voice. But again, there's got to be limits to it too, right? Because the more you get sucked in, the harder it's going to be to differentiate what reality actually is. And you might become dissociated. If you've noticed, if you spend a long time on social media and you come back to reality, you might notice feelings of like, whoa, who am I kind of thing, right? Maybe not you, but I've definitely noticed that. So now you're probably wondering, how can we bring this back? How can we bring back color in our perception and our reality? How can we restore all of this damage that's been done to us that is partially our fault, but also partially not? And as I covered in my last video, I think step number one is to really kind of reclaim your attention through a lot of deep engagement. So start practicing single tasking. Now, I think a really good way to start doing this is by picking a movie or a TV show and only doing that. Whether it's reading a book without checking your phone, or whether it's watching that TV show, just focus on that. Only that one thing. No notifications, no nothing, just you and that task. If you're cooking a meal, you don't have to watch a video whilst you're doing that. If you're eating something, you don't necessarily have to watch something with it, right? But whatever kind of works for you, because that's going to be pretty hard, not to watch something and eat, right? But it will feel weird at first because you're so used to doing multiple things at once, but it's going to kind of fry your brain, because when you give something your full attention, you're going to start to notice details that you've never noticed otherwise, like you did as a kid, right? You're only focused on that one thing at a time. And as a result, you might even start figuring out how to get into the state of flow, where you're so absorbed in what you're doing that time seems to disappear. and your attention is just there. You're not distracted by any means necessary, which a lot of people are nowadays because they're hyper focused on doing multiple things at once. Flow is definitely one of the most satisfying experiences you can have because it's just great. You know, time flies. Like, time doesn't exist to you. Yeah, even if you still struggle with focusing during these kind of things, start small. You ain't got to really force it too much because I know people, they like to throw themselves in the deep end. Even if it's just half an episode without your phone, that's okay. That's better than what you were doing before. Whether it's a book, maybe you read half a page or one page a day or something like that. Set some conditions that you can follow. Realistically, by the way, because you might be in the thick of it. Gosh, that's that song, isn't it? Anyway, step number 2, I'd probably say, is to kind of seek out sensory rich experiences. Something that is real and something that can kind of stimulate you. Spend time in nature. I think nature is a pretty easy way to kind of do this because there's so much like different variations in color and smells, senses and textures around, and it's a great thing, you know? Touch grass. Just touch grass. And like these kind of things, it's going to be interesting because once you start to pay attention to like how each flower is different and each plant is different, it's cool, man. But you don't have to limit yourself to just nature because that's going to probably be very boring to a lot of you guys. There's a bunch of different things you can do. Again, there's what, 5 senses? Find something that you can actually do that kind of stimulates this stuff, right? Whether it's trying new food, whether it's trying, I don't know, visit a museum or go to a concert, but really try to immerse yourself in this stuff and try to ask yourself, what is this, or what about this is so interesting? And you'll start to notice so many details, and it'll kind of clarify things for you a lot more because you're more conscious about doing stuff rather than unconsciously living. You're not, like, on a day-to-day basis, you're not really thinking too much. Think a little bit more. Like, if you're someone who maybe lives or works in a minimalist office where you're like, everything's just black and white, maybe make your home more colorful, more textured. Get a nice painting. Get a nice carpet. Balance is key. Things that have more detail that you can pay attention to, more that your senses are going to be heightened because you're going to start to pay attention more. And when you start to pay attention more, you're living with more thought. And there's a whole host of benefits of like living with by actually thinking through in life. You get to actually choose the way that you live. You choose the way that you think. And over time, you're going to become a lot better a human being. Who doesn't want that, right? I know I want it. Yeah, like for example, if you get like a nice piece of artwork or something like that, and you start to notice the details in the drawing itself, you start to notice these things, and then you might even take that over to your life and be like, wow, maybe I can organize myself better. The same way that this artist covered this piece of detail in the artwork. Something cool like that, right? Another way I'd probably say as well to express yourself authentically is to start small. I think if you can actually look at the way you dress, analyze it. Is it simple? Is it complex? What can I do that can make me feel more comfortable in the way that I dress? How can I feel more comfortable when I go out? How can I feel more confident when I go out? Maybe you gotta dress with a bit more style. Maybe you gotta comb your hair. Maybe you gotta, whatever it is, right? Pick one area where you can be more authentic and kind of make space for this new version of yourself. Pick one area where you can do that. A kind of safe space where your authentic self is welcomed. Some people do it through writing, maybe drawing, some kind of like creative expression, you know. There's so many ways of doing this, by the way. Even making a YouTube video or YouTube channel where you make stuff, that can be a start. And remember, when you're doing this stuff, goal isn't to be the best, the goal is to be authentic. And over time, people will gravitate to you. Your more authentic self will come to you over time. Because when you express yourself authentically, creating a space for others to do the same. So maybe that's what your mission is to do. Bring back color to the light, to the world. I don't know. And the last and most important step, I'd say, of pretty much bringing color back to life is by reconnecting to your capacity of wonder. In a very superficial way, but Be curious, ask questions, wonder about things, daydream if you need to. Fall down a few rabbit holes about topics that interest you if that's what you're into. Not too much though, because you can go pretty insane from doing that. But try new things. Be curious. What is one recipe that you want to learn? What is a new route that you could take home maybe? What's a new place that you could visit? Stimulate your brain. Explore. Allow yourself to get excited about doing these things. If you're interested in writing, maybe allow yourself to get excited about writing a new piece of work. Or if you like drawing, maybe try to draw something extra creative. Without any purpose, just play. Just stuff that really goes beyond the enjoyment of doing it. Just because. No reason at all. There doesn't have to be a goal in mind. It's just fun. Right? That's how you bring wonder back. So remember, life doesn't lose its color. We just stop noticing it. Alright? And the world may try to dull us down, but you have to live like that. And you don't deserve to live like that. So, fight back, be more present, experience things, and be more curious. As you can see, I'm playing Stardew Valley. Maybe you could try to be curious in this game. In some way, shape or form. Maybe try a new mod pack. Maybe try a different storyline that you can go down. Maybe you can start fishing. I like fishing on this game. Whatever it is to you. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Peace and blessings be to you all. And I'll see you in the next one.